In this video, I want to talk to you more about why I think Chris Watts is a covert narcissist. The way that Chris was behaving towards Shannan when she was in North Carolina, it was interesting to me how she went from being really angry that he didn't stand up to his parents and sending him these text messages expressing herself and how betrayed she felt by that, and angry that he wasn't standing up for her daughters, for their daughters, and protecting them. And I thought it was interesting how she went from sending these angry messages to Chris to not long afterwards pleading for him to work on their marriage with her. That's quite a turnaround of events. And what a narcissist will do is, when they're confronted with their own behavior, they'll do something called stonewalling. And what that is they'll be vague, they can be very dismissive, they can walk out of the room or just not reply if it's a text message. They can do all these things, and they can gaslight as well. And the thing that they're trying to achieve by doing that is to turn the power around so that they're the ones that have the power and not the victim, because it's very dangerous for them to see the victim have so much power and confront them with something that they've done. One of the biggest sort of emotions that a narcissist who has no empathy for people feels is shame. So if you shame a narcissist, they will turn against you, and they will make sure that you end up feeling ashamed and that they're the ones who have all the power. And it looks like that's what Chris gradually did. So first of all, when she was sending him these messages, he was apologizing, and he was being very vague about why he had been behaving so coldly. So he was saying, that he's just not feeling right at the moment, that his head's not really right, and he's going to be working on it. And but that was it. That was all that he gave her. So another thing that happened is, by the further down the line with these messages, and after spending a few days, I guess a week with him, she was left feeling extremely confused, because he was now saying, at the beginning of the week he was signing off "I love you" in a text message, the first day he got to North Carolina, and then before long he was saying that he didn't think he did love her, and he didn't want the baby. And I think the fact that he said he didn't want the baby, that was a massive red flag in terms of him being a narcissist, because he knew that Shannan wasn't going to abort the baby. She'd been telling her friends and family about it. They were going to have a gender reveal party. So to say "I don't want the baby," what's that going to achieve? It's going to really, really crush someone. It's the worst thing you can say to your pregnant, vulnerable wife is "I don't want the baby." He was extremely cold. And this is someone who, as a covert narcissist, was very used to acting and playing a role. And he completely let go of that when they were away. Now he was behaving like he absolutely didn't even want to touch her. He wouldn't, apart from in the airport, he hadn't kissed her. And when she had morning sickness, he wasn't there for her, the day, I think it was the day he arrived. So I wonder if it's a coincidence that she had morning sickness the day he arrived, or if that was a physical reaction to the way that he changed so much towards her, to her emotions. But anyway, so he changed so drastically, and that is another example of stonewalling someone, to completely take the ground from beneath their feet. And that's what he was doing to her. He was used to acting. He could have continued to act like he loved her, but he very drastically took away any warmth you know, there was no physical contact, and he was saying things that were, you know, very, very cold and disturbing, like, I don't want the baby and I don't love you. And he would have been getting supply from behaving like that. So he did that intentionally. And that doesn't mean that what he said wasn't true. I think that it was true. He's not capable of love, and he didn't want the baby, obviously, or he wouldn't have killed the baby and his other children. But the fact that he said it to her during that week, he would have done, the only thing he could have got out of saying that stuff to her was an emotional reaction from her. And when a narcissist has moved out of the idealization phase, they will turn against somebody and they will devalue them, and they get supply from doing that. So supply is basically a big ego boost. So seeing her, that would have caused a big emotional reaction, those things that he was saying, and seeing her, or even just being aware over text of her emotional reactions to that, would have given him you know, a lot of supply. So that's why he behaved like that. And another thing he did was he drove her and the girls to dinner with Shannan's parents, and he drove very fast. You know, I think Shannan's mother was saying he was driving at about 80 miles an hour. And again, I think that would have been to get an emotional reaction from Shannan and from the girls. All of these things he was doing when he was in North Carolina suggests to me that he'd moved into the devaluation phase, and he was stonewalling Shannan. In other words, he was switching the power from Shannan to himself when she had confronted him about something that he'd done. So those are some other things that I wanted to add in terms of Chris Watts being a narcissist. I'll be interested to read your comments, if you write them in the comment section, what you think of all of this. And also, if you want me to make any videos about anything that you're particularly interested in to do with narcissism, please write that in the comments as well. And please subscribe. Thank you.